डियर स्टूडेंट्स, आज हम कूलम्स लॉ के बारे में बात करेंगे। इससे पहले हमने चैप्टर में ये पढ़ा है चार्जेस से रिलेटेड कि व्हाट आर चार्जेस, व्हाट आर द रीजन ऑफ द चार्जेस एंड हाउ यू कैन चार्ज एनी ऑब्जेक्ट. So we know that there are two types of charges, and the Benjamin Franklin named it positive and negative. And while studying about the origin of the charges, we also came to know about that oppositely charged objects attract and like charges will repel each other. That is, if you have a same kind of charge, either both are positive or both are negative, then they will repel each other. Whereas when the charges are of different kind, then they will attract each other. This thing we know. From this we can easily conclude that charges will interact by exerting force on each other, because that interaction can be either attraction or repulsion depending on the kind of charges. That is, if the charges are like, then they will repel each other, whereas when charges are unlike, they will attract each other. So this thing we know. Now, what did Coulomb's law states? Basically, Coulomb's law ये बताता है कि ये जो फोर्स है वो कितनी होगी, क्योंकि डायरेक्शन तो हमें पता है, अगर तो लाइक चार्जेस है तो इट विल बी रिपेलिंग ईच अदर, अगर अनलाइक चार्जेस है तो वो अट्रैक्ट करेंगे. सो कूलम्स लॉ क्या बताता है? सो व्हाट इज द स्टेटमेंट ऑफ इट? कूलम्स लॉ क्या बोलेगा? इट स्टेट्स दैट the electrostatic force of interaction, and that interaction can be attractive or repulsive. It is unlike gravitational force, which is always attractive, that you have done in 11th class. So it states that the electrostatic force of interaction, basically it is talking about magnitude of the force. That magnitude of the force between two stationary and point charges is found to be, the charge should be stationary, the charge should be point charges. It is directly proportional to the product of the magnitude of two charges. It means if the magnitude of the charge is high, that means higher is the charge on the object, higher will be the magnitude of the force between them. So it is directly, that it means force is directly proportional to the magnitude of two charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. As you are keeping the charge away from each other, then the force will decrease and its inverse square dependence on it. These are the two factors on which force depend. Number one is the magnitude of the charges, second is the distance between them. There is third other factor that we'll come to know when we'll do the mathematics of it. So before dealing the mathematical part, let's talk about what do you mean by point charge. Point charge means a charge whose size is negligible as compared to the distance between charge and the observation point. It means we are not taking into consideration spatial extent, means that the size becomes negligible when you're comparing it with the distance of observation. That the charge is known as point charge. Now, talking about mathematical part of it. So because we have to talk about the force between two charges, let us first consider two charges. The first charge is Q1. Here we will not talk about their sign. Sign means the kind of charge. We are only dealing with the magnitude of the force. So we are taking second charge as Q2, and they are separated by a distance r, and that distance we are taking from center of first charge to center of second charge. Now According to the statement, force will be directly proportional to the product of both the charges. That is, force is direct proportional to the Q1, Q2. And the second point, the second factor is the distance. And force is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the charges. So when we will combine these two equations, we will be getting this equation, that is, force is directly proportional to Q1 Q2 divided by R square. On removing the sign of proportionality, we'll be having the constant of proportionality and we'll denote it with K. Now this is K is the another third factor that is coming into consideration. This is proportionality constant. So this is the magnitude of the force. Let's talk about this proportionality constant K. Firstly, let us suppose we are taking both the charges separated by the distance r in the vacuum, in free space. Then this proportionality constant is equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, whose value will be 9 into 10 raised to the power 9. This we are talking about in SI system, so it will be, the unit of K will be Newton meter square per Coulomb square. Here epsilon naught is called the absolute permittivity of the free space, whose value, when we substitute the value of K in it and put the value of pi, then epsilon naught, the value of epsilon naught will comes out to be 8.85 into 10 raised to the power minus 12 Coulomb square per Newton per meter square. This is the value of proportionality constant when we deal with the charges in vacuum. Now, there can be another factor when we are talking about the medium. In place of vacuum, if we say, let us suppose the charges are placed in some medium, then this proportionality constant, instead of absolute permittivity of free space, we have only permittivity of that medium. So it's not epsilon naught. So we'll substitute epsilon naught with epsilon. So K will be equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon. This is known as electrical permittivity of the medium. So this is the third factor. Force depends upon three factors. Number one is the magnitude of the charges. Second, the distance between them, and the third factor is the medium. So electrical permittivity, what is electrical permittivity? It is basically the tendency of the medium to get polarized. Polarized here, we'll talk in short here because this topic will be dealing in the coming topics. So polarization of an atom means when the center of positive and negative charges get distorted. In that case, the object gets polarized. Like you have polar atom, non-polar atom, you have done that. So basically, when how much the center of the positive and negative charge will get distorted, that is known as polarization. Obviously, that distortion will be a response to a nearby object. So that is the how is the medium's tendency to get polarized. That measurement is your electrical permittivity. Next is, till now we have done the magnitude of the force. The magnitude of the force between two charges. Now, well, force is a vector quantity. If you have to write Coulomb's law in vector form, then you have to specify the direction here. So in this case, we'll be dealing with the two cases. The first case will be when the charges are like. Like means both the charges are of same magnitude. No, sorry, not same magnitude, same kind. Either both the charges will be positive or both the charges will be negative. So the first case is when the product Q1 Q2 is greater than 0. That is, both the charges are positive or both the charges are negative. We'll be talking in vacuum only. So let's take the first charge to be plus q1 and the second charge to be plus 2 plus q2, separated by a small distance, that is r. Because both the charges are positive, so q1 q2 will be greater than 0, that is the product will be greater than 0. So the force on one charge due to second will be in the outward direction as shown in the figure, because the second charge will repel the first charge. Similarly, first charge will also repel the second charge, so the direction of force on second charge due to 1 will also be outwards. And we are taking a unit vector to specify the direction. Here we are taking a unit vector r12 directing from charge 1 to charge 2, and whose magnitude will be equals to small r. Similarly, we can also denote the second unit charge, that is r21, will be opposite in the direction to the r12 but in same magnitude. So this is the first part of the first case. Similarly, second part will be when we are taking both the charges to be negative, minus q1 minus q2 separated by again same distance r. Then again the direction of the force will be, because they are repelling each other, in the outward direction. Then what is the magnitude of the force on first charge due to second will be equals to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 r square. But we are writing it in vector form, so we have to specify the direction also. So force on 1 due to 2 will be in opposite direction to the r12 vector that we have defined in the figure. So we'll be writing here r21 cap, the unit vector r21. So the direction is this. Similarly, we can write force on second charge due to 1, that will be again same in magnitude as in above equation, that is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 upon r square. But this time the direction is again outward in the opposite direction and in the same direction of r12, so we are writing it with r12 unit vector. This is the first case for the like charges, and we are talking here in vacuum. Similarly, for the charges which are of opposite kind, that is unlike charges, so the product of q1 q2 will be lesser than 0, because one charge is positive and the other charge is negative here. So we are taking both the charges plus q1 plus q minus q2 separated by again distance r, because they will be attracting each other, so force on 1 due to 2 will be towards the second charge. Similarly, force on second charge due to 1 will be towards the first charge. Again, we are defining the unit vector r12 cap in the direction from first charge to the second charge. So the force on 1 due to 2 will be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught q1 q2 upon r square. It is in the same direction as in the case of r12. So the direction will be r12. Similarly, force on second charge due to 1 will be, the magnitude will be same as the previous one, but the direction here is opposite to the r12. It will be written as r21 unit vector. You can see from here that it is only the direction that is varying, but the magnitude is remaining same. So therefore you can write that force on 1 due to 2 will be equal and opposite to the force on 2 due to 1. So it will be obeying in all the cases, whether the first case for the like charges or the second case for the unlike charges. That's all with the Coulomb's law in vector form. In numericals, you need not to worry about this, because you will be dealing, you know the kind of the charge and you know the direction, what will be the direction of the force. Now coming to the limitations of this. Limitation of Coulomb's law. It is, again I am saying, it is in the statement only. So first limitation is Coulomb's law is only valid, only applicable to the charges at rest, or you can say it is not applicable on moving charges. Why it is not applicable on moving charges? Because moving charges also produce magnetic field. Second, it is only applicable to point charges. We have to consider the distance between the charges to be large. So, third point, when you are dealing with nuclear dimensions, means within the nuclear you are talking about, so this law fails. This law is only applicable for large distances. Second and the third point are interrelatable. That is, for large distances only it is applicable. For lesser than 10 raised to the power minus 15 meters, which is nuclear dimension, it is not applicable. So today we have done that. What is Coulomb's law, the magnitude of it, the three factors on which it depends. Then we have done it in vector form and what are its limitations. Thank you everyone for watching this video.